Hey everybody, Ken Christian here. I spoke a lot in the beginning of this YouTube challenge about the fact that I was out on a long trip and would be gone for most of the whole early part of this challenge, uh, traveling from one place to another, having meetings, having conferences, visiting my publisher, doing a number of things, visiting clients. And the choppiness of all that and the unusualness and the unpredictability of all that, I kept saying, this is complicated, this is hard to do because how do I fit it in? Well, what's interesting is yesterday was day 13, and on day 13, I didn't mention this, but I almost went through the entire day because I was back in my familiar surroundings and I had a video to record. So I'd put in an enormous amount of work doing videos and accomplishing a lot of things. And the whole thing of doing a video for YouTube almost slipped my mind. So you got to be aware and you've got to pay attention to what you're doing if you decide to do a challenge like this, because you can trip up unexpectedly when you don't really think you're any longer facing a challenge. You suddenly are, because it was the unfamiliarity of everything that took me out of my customary routines and made it so that when I came back to my customary routines, I was seduced into what was going on with those. And so that's an interesting sidelight to all of this. Now, I told you I was going to talk about the other way we can interfere with ourselves, and that has to do with negative thoughts and indecision and all those things that capture our energy and hold us, and we hold on to them. Thought loops, all kinds of interference. We are terribly inefficient when we get into negative states. The research that comes from the part of psychology that's been heavily researched in the last 15 years or so, which is the research having to do with happiness and how we function in a more effective manner when we are in fact happy, in an up, high, happy state. High positive is the name the research gives it. When we're in that high positive state, we are more effective, more efficient, more brilliant, and we get more accomplished. And we get the benefit of also feeling good because we're in a happy state. Well, even a medium state, and I've mentioned this in passing here, even a moderate state where you're in between, like neutral isn't really a neutral state. It's a state where negativity gets balanced by some amount of okay, happy feeling. You're not down in an utter funk, but that churning and grinding that's going on in the background still draws energy away from you, and it has a toxic effect on your efficiency. Your efficiency and your effectiveness and your intelligence is reduced. You're not as good at doing other tasks. So you have to get into a high positive state and stop interfering with yourself. Not only do you have to keep other people from interfering with you by setting up your schedule in such a way that you have blocks of time when you're not interrupted, but you've got to stop interrupting yourself with negative thoughts, and you have to improve your mindset and change your mindset to one that's effective, that has to do with creativity and growth. A growth mindset is one in which you are moving and changing because you exert effort to do so. You take things on and you work with challenges. A fixed mindset, and this is based on the research of Carol Dweck, keeps us locked in around the idea that we have a fixed amount, a quantity of some kind of talent or talents or intelligence, and we can only work with what we got, and when we run out at the edge of that, there's nothing else to do. Well, it's all nonsense. It's nonsense, first of all, just from the point of view of an idea of how we're constructed, but moreover, it's crazy because our brain, we now know, grows and expands and works and develops new neural connections if we engage in repetitive behavior to set up those neural connections. Neurons that fire together, wire together, and form new pathways, and that's what really getting efficient is all about. It's about simplifying and getting focused in a way on positive things, positive agendas, positive goals and actual deliverables that you say, I'm going to do this, not just this is my goal. Well, it's my goal in that kind of language that really suggests you don't expect to really get there at all, but you're going to try. All that stuff gets in the way and it costs you energy. Even hanging on to a choice and continuing to weigh it instead of simply making a choice and moving on that and saying, this is what I'm going to do. That in the background is like you're dragging weights behind you. It's like you're dragging an anchor. Get rid of that stuff that slows you down and get involved in an approach to living that is simply more successful because it takes what we know now about the brain and about social psychological research and research on happiness, combines them to create a framework that will work for you. And I work with people on that. I teach them that. And I'm glad I'm sharing this with you because it's an important point for you to ponder and to learn more about. Okay? I'll talk with you on day 15, which comes up tomorrow.